Business. Good morning to everybody, and nice to see you all. Some more people are getting logged in. Welcome, everybody. It's time for a little wrap up for the week, and we'll see how this week has treated us. We'll look at a little bit of everything and just see what has happened. And yes, Mike, I will. I will keep the. I'll keep my mental game strong because if I can avoid getting sick, getting the flu that everybody across the planet seems to have, that would be great. Um, okay, so let's see how these markets have gone this week. We've been talking a lot of Canadian stuff. The U.S. dollar, of course, is just getting killed, and we're just constantly seeing weak U.S. data. We've talked a lot about the Canadian dollar this week, and I've posted charts just daily, sometimes twice a day on the New Zealand CAD, Aussie CAD. We'll talk about that. We just had a big pop up from the Canadian GDP news, which came out worse than expected. We had all this Canadian strength, and then it just went kaplooey, and now we're seeing some Canadian weakness. So let's go through and look at all of this stuff and kind of just see how it's looking. Anyone traded the euro pound this week? I don't think I've traded the euro pound in 3 months, and it just is randomly up on my chart, and I haven't touched the thing in forever. Yeah, Mike's not touched it. Yeah, me neither. It's Euro Pound is kind of on the don't watch list. I haven't added that tab to the website yet, but I'll get that taken care of. So we'll have a watch list and a definitely don't watch list. Good, Mike. Excellent. Pulled some pips out of the Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, which hopefully everybody did because, man, those things just kept giving us pip after pip after pip and was just super great. So it all kind of started out like this. Let me tell you a little story here. We started the week off. Let's go to. Let me consult the charts here. So here was how we started the week with the Aussie CAD. We said, okie dokie, if this Aussie CAD gives us a little break, we're going to start selling this puppy like crazy. And it did. It broke out. We started selling it. In fact, we started selling it before it broke out. And I sent out that alert maybe Monday or Tuesday and just said, you know what, let's not wait on this thing. Let's just start shorting this puppy and trade it downward. And we did. And we said, let's just sell any pullbacks that we get. And we didn't really get any pullbacks. It just it kind of broke through our area. I mean, it pulled back a little bit, 5 or 10 pips, but ran to our first target, ran to our second target, and looking for our third target, hopped around here, and the news popped it back up again. So plenty of time to lock in profit, take complete profit, do anything you want to do there. I mentioned, let's just see here. I'm going to hide all of my secret messages so you guys can't see them. That's a little bit of my morning humor for you guys. Just here we go. So this was kind of the most recent update. Hopefully everybody saw this. I sent it out to the email, and on here, of course. And I said possible sell zones on these. And why do I say possible? Because I won't place a pending order there. I want to make sure that the market can get there, hold, not break through, and if it does, I'll add some additional positions. And it did not hold. It ran up, bounced around a little bit, pushed through, and came back down below. And then, of course, this news ran it up, and I was aware of the news, so I didn't try to add anything before that. But here's what I do say. Aussie CAD, there were some great pips on here. I've made some good trades on it this week. We've talked about it. I've posted a million charts and entry ideas and so on this week. It's looking good. I'm still looking for, I'm pretty much definitely counting on 97.45 as a target still. So I'm still looking for this area to get hit. And that possible sell zone, so we talked about that. This, I think, is going to be nothing more than a nice little double top on the Aussie CAD. So I see a little bit of resistance there, a little bit of double topness. If we don't see, if that just doesn't slow things down and it plows right on through it, then I'll look for some reasons to short this at a higher price. So I'm loving the Aussie CAD. I think it's just such a it behaves so well with these targets and so on that it's just impossible to ignore. So still some great targets down here, down below. We'll see if this acts as a double top and it can trade back down. This is, again, a very minimum target right here, about 97.45, and a great little place to run down to. But hopefully everybody made some money on this week. It was a great one. Did anybody not trade the Aussie CAD this week? Anybody just completely skip it, miss out? Don't be shy. Or did you trade it? Type it right in right here. Aussie CAD. Do we get some Aussie CAD love? Love? Anyone get that? Let's hear it. So it was a good mover. Plenty of pips to be made. Hopefully everybody got some pips out of that, and we'll stay at it. We'll basically just kind of keep plugging away at it. Oh, good, Dennis. Good, good. Yep, and more to come. Absolutely. So, like I said, we'll watch this. We'll see if this turns into some sort of double top, and we can continue shorting that down to 97.45. I'll keep you posted on that, though. Okay, so Aussie CAD was good. Wasn't really looking at any of these other Aussie pairs in the grouping right here. Kind of watching for some Aussie dollar. Remember, this was on the watch list, and we just said if that gets down there, we'll buy some dips. It didn't, so we didn't. Nothing much more to say there. And then I'm going to run through the watch list here in a moment, but I want to talk about the other one that I discussed so heavily this week, and that was New Zealand CAD. Who made some money on New Zealand CAD? Dennis, you get some New Zealand CAD? Mike, you said you got some New Zealand CAD? Aaron, you get any of that? Other Dennis? Hello, both Dennises. Dennises? Frank, you get some of that? How about you, Jim? Jennifer? Blake? You get a little bit of that action? Who got some New Zealand CAD? Because that thing was a beauty as well. Now, here were some details that I posted for the New Zealand CAD. Good. 53 pips. There you go, Aaron. 10 pips on New Zealand CAD. Hey, that is all right. And 53 pips on New Zealand CAD. That is great. Jennifer still selling. I love it. I love it. Very good. So here's what we talked about on New Zealand CAD. Here was the watch list. Remember. Okay, Tom, hanging in there on New Zealand CAD. Sounds good. Here was what we were looking for. Some breaks and all of that stuff. This was going right into the early part of this was our watch list for Monday, right? So this was the Monday watch list. New Zealand CAD. Let's just start selling this puppy. And we got some breaks and here's how the New Zealand CAD kind of played out. So what ended up happening? First little break, consolidated through, broke here. So nice clean break of this bigger trend line. If anybody got some of that, that's great. But what happened? It ran down. It missed any of our targets. It did hit the 200 EMA, missed all the rest of our targets that we're super excited about getting hit. And it popped back up right there. So recognize that little spot right there, a big green candle and some consolidation. So what did I do? We looked at this and we said, let's sell the heck out of this thing. So let's go back one more. So right here, it said if you miss the first entry, here's another chance to short the pair on that spike up, because we had all of this, all of our targets are still in play. So sell this puppy. And what did we do? So pulled right back up there, and I just said sell it right now. We're right at that breakout price. And so what did it do? It ran right up to that and then just dropped like a hot potato. So very nice little run down there. Hit our first real target and is kind of bouncing around. Now, this was also a chart posted right here. I said, all right, folks, potential sell zone as well. And that is right there. That's 89.67. So boom, boom. And what are we doing? We're seeing this thing just tap on that sell zone. So I like this. Again, we saw a big spike on New Zealand, or excuse me, CAD weakness. Still looking for these targets. I really want to get this 88.25 hit. Hit it. So this is just a nice little, dip, spike, and so on. So I think there's some good stuff to be had there. We should be able to get some nice activity going on that one. And I like this area. I think this is a good area to sell the New Zealand CAD once again. This is a little bit of a I don't know if I'd say a make or break area, but it's a good one to watch pretty closely, right? If this starts breaking up above this area right here, we don't want this 89, 65, 70 area to break by too much. And it could, 5 or 10 pips, but too much more than that, and we could be looking at a little bit more of a battle, a little bit more of a struggle. Now, we're at the end of the week, and this is profit taking, and plus there's a little bit of bad news and all that stuff. And that's okay, but just kind of keep an eye on the fact that this could push a little bit higher. But this is a great little area. If you're not in New Zealand CAD, this is really a good little area to short it, against this spot, with a tight stop loss. You can risk 15, maybe 20 pips on this thing for, a potential entry all the way back down to some of these lower targets, right where it stands. So this is a good little spot. Bounced off that our nice little important level right there, and we'll see if it makes its way back down. So I'm definitely liking the New Zealand CAD because now we have this nice little spot that we'll just know, fairly quickly, is it good or bad. So if it gets above that level, it might be bad. Um, Yeah, and that's a good point. That's a good point, Mike. Yeah, not much news next week. There's a lot of holidays and New Year's. For all, obviously there's a lot of countries that don't celebrate Christmas, or it's not even it's not much of a holiday. But everyone pretty much goes pretty strong, or a lot of countries go pretty strong on New Year's. So you know, it's just that week between Christmas and New Year's is just the best time to play around and do nothing. So news will be weak. Markets may or may not do anything at all, and it might just kind of be tricky stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that New Zealand CAD right there. I like that entry, but keep tight stop if it breaks above there. It's probably going to put up a little bit more of a fight. Okay, so New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD are looking good. Now, what about these other CAD pairs that we talked about? Look at this. What ended up happening with this dollar CAD? I'm just going to work my way up the bottom of the list here. Dollar CAD 129. We said 129. This is going to hold or break. And anytime we approach these levels, I like to just jump into these things and keep some tight stops and see what happens, right? And we knew we were looking at this major lower target zone on dollar CAD. We wanted to trade the heck out of that thing back down into some of those levels. And so what ended up happening with the dollar CAD is a little bit of this right here. So dollar CAD to just about the pip, just by literally a handful of pips, pushed through 12900. So we got up to 129.20, I guess. So it pushed up through there just a little bit and proceeded to tank 220 pips. So if anybody took a trade at 12900 to short the dollar CAD, you just were singing and laughing all the way to the bank. That worked out so beautifully well. That was just such a great little move. And we're still looking at these lower targets: 12500, 12570. I'm just curious, and come clean, guys. Don't be shy. Anyone get into that that dollar CAD at 12900? Anyone get into that? Anybody get into that? Anybody? That was such a beautiful area, such a great little trade, and it worked out swimmingly. Now, if you did not get into it, and you're thinking to yourself, "Well, darn it, that was a level we were watching for, and it worked out for 220 pips, and I didn't get any of it." Fear not, fear not, because what did I post just recently right here? This, and I'm sticking to it. Coming down into some support, sell zone 128.18-ish area, 18, 20, 25. And what did we see happen today? We saw some news, so it kind of held on to that low, held on to kind of that support zone in there. And some news came in and just gave us that spike, gave us that pop that we needed to see. So we got all the way up to about 127.95 or so. I'm going to see if this thing just bumps just a tiny bit higher, and I'm going to be selling the holy smokes out of the dollar CAD for that move down into the 125 zone that we're looking for. So this trade I will watch over the holiday break. I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on my phone. I'll set some chart alarms here, but I'm just going to kind of watch this thing, and I'm going to see if this makes its way up to 128, and then I'm going to just trade the heck out of it and trade it back down. So I hope you guys are in it with me. But 128 looks like a really, really good spot to just get some entries on this dollar CAD and trade it back down. So I think that'll be a really, really good spot to grab some pips. So dollar CAD is still in play, and we should get a really great entry out of that pullback area. So really nicely done there. On the topic of CAD pairs, dollar CAD, where's our Euro CAD at? Oh, I don't think I posted the Euro CAD. We did talk about the Euro CAD though. You guys remember this Euro CAD stuff right here? Some people were asking about it. Dennis, I think you might have brought this one up as well, and a few others. This was what I was watching for all along on Euro CAD. I think I posted this somewhere, but maybe I didn't. What a horrible person I am. Okay, so EuroCAD 152.95 has only been the level we've been watching for the last month, maybe. And we just tapped it just perfectly. And again, dropped from 152.95 to the low here of 150.50. So that's okay. That's a nice 250 pip run. But now what do we have here? We've got a pretty excellent trend line and some incredibly crucial areas to watch. So we start to see some sell-off on this pair again, and I'm targeting 148.75 and 148.00 on this EuroCAD. So this thing is just perfectly. I drew this trend line back here, and it's just behaved so well in that little zone. And if we just kind of extend that just a hair, I'm going to absolutely be looking for some of this stuff and a move on EuroCAD. So even though I didn't post the chart this Monday, we talked about it. I'm curious if anybody got short 152.95, 153.00. We had a high of 153.02 before it dropped 250 pips. So our levels worked out pretty great this week, guys. Pretty great. If you missed this, look for that consolidation. Look for that bumping around and sell the crud out of this thing when it breaks out and starts heading back towards 148.75, 148.00. Everyone good with that? Any questions on Euro CAD? Any questions on Bitcoin CAD? Anyone? Okay, we're good? All right. Don't be shy. I don't want to leave everybody hanging. Good. All right, excellent. Okay, Mike, sounds good. So that's a good one. Here is a little bit more of what we looked at this week. Whoops, let me go to our watch list here. So we talked about dollar CAD, Aussie CAD, Euro Swiss. I'm not even going to pull up the level. I just don't even care about this Euro Swiss because it's so messy. We got out of this thing, and basically all we wanted to see on Euro Swiss was can we get a break below 116? And the answer to that question was no. And now it's just chopping around. It pushed above 117 a little bit. It's kind of just, I'm kind of out of this thing. Our last trade we got stopped out in a little bit of profit, and I'm pretty happy to be out of this thing, all things considered. So that's okay. We'll keep an eye on it, but for the moment, it's pretty much off the list. We didn't. We haven't lost any money on it. We've made a little bit of money, so that's good. But I'm pretty much out of it. How about this Euro Aussie? So Euro Aussie, this was kind of the thing we were watching for, right? Head and shoulders pattern. We've got our important crucial levels down here. We've got our head and shoulders kind of profit projection at about 152.40, and we've got a pretty important level around 152.50. And the question was, are we going to pull back to this weekly pivot around 154.50-ish area and be able to hold and continue lower? Who traded the Euro Aussie? Who traded that thing? So Euro Aussie got a little bit squirrely. but it did. There's our weekly pivot. We had the question marks right there. It hit the weekly pivot. It dropped a good little chunk, pulled back up, kind of bounced along that monthly pivot, and then proceeded to drop from 155.20 down to 153.40. So nice couple hundred pips there, movement. Um, in the last couple of videos, I talked about just looking at this trend line and looking at some areas. It made a big break before, or a big run before breaking down that trend line. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to make excuses slash relieve my conscience for not trading the Euro Aussie because I didn't trade it, but it worked out fairly well. It kind of did what we were expecting. It pushed a little bit past that weekly pivot, but otherwise didn't do I just didn't do much with it. Thanks, Mike. Glad the strength and weakness video was helpful. I got a lot of comments on that one, so apparently that hit a chord with a lot of people and was was helpful. So I'm super glad to hear that. Strength and weakness video, I sent it out. It's a discussion we've had a time or two, and I made a little video of it on a Facebook Live session. Sent it out to everybody. So anyway, we're still looking for the Euro Aussie to make its way down into 152.50. It's another 100 pips, and I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there. So what I'd like to see here is maybe just a little bit of this. Maybe we just get some of that, and we can just draw in a little trend line, and I'll trade that break. I'll trade that break all day long. Just a nice little slow, easy, steady run. Get that down into 153.25, and then ultimately down maybe into that 152.50 area. So far, so good on the Euro Aussie move and setup, and I think we'll be able to get the rest of the way there. So that was great. That was great. Good, Tom. In Euro Aussie, 2 positions. All right. Good to hear. Good to hear. That is great. Yeah, the Euro Aussie really worked out well. That was a really good trade. So, and it's still a really good trade. It's still hanging in there and doing a very good job pushing lower. So I love it. I love it. Okay, so and we'll just kind of keep watching this thing, and if it keeps pushing lower, we'll keep on trading it lower. Why the heck not? Euro yen has done nothing for us. It kind of broke out of the channel, and we're not really doing much with that. Aussie dollar, we talked about that. New Zealand CAD, we talked about that. Anyone trade the New Zealand Swiss? I didn't. I don't know. I posted the chart and I liked the setup, and then I got pretty distracted on a few others. I just didn't trade the New Zealand Swiss. So here's what the New Zealand Swiss did. So here was our chart that we posted. Look for this breakout and a run into the weekly pivot in the bottom of the channel. Wasn't a ton of pips, but there was that breakout at about 69. Broke out about 69.30. Hit that weekly pivot at 68.95-ish area. Quick 35 pips. Worked like a champ. And then gave us a little bit more of a push here before kind of pulling back and reversing. Now, we'll see what happens with this guy and where it ends up going. But there's still some good lower targets that I think need to get hit and will probably get hit. So it's on the list. I'm probably going to watch something like a double top. They gave us a couple of pips here, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. So New Zealand, Swiss worked out. Who traded New Zealand dollar? Anyone trade New Zealand dollar? What did we talk about on New Zealand dollar? Run down to 69, 60, and maybe even that weekly pivot, which was just 10 or 15 pips below that. Anyone get some New Zealand dollar on the buy? So here is what New Zealand dollar did. Like sometimes I think I should just place trades wherever my arrow turns. So right, we did go past my turning point on my arrow just a little bit. There's 69.63, and we got all the way down here to right about 69.55. So got in that 69.55 area, ran up into these highs again of 70.27. So nice 75 pip run. It dipped perfectly down to our level and ran 75 pips up off that. So If anybody just blindly followed me and said, I don't care if this lunatic's right or not, then you would have made at least 75 pips on that trade. So it was a decent mover. Hopefully at least one person got into the New Zealand dollar, because that was just, I mean, it just was it couldn't have worked out any better. So nice little trade, nice little trade. New Zealand dollar worked out beautifully. Let's see what else is on the watch list here. I don't I don't know how many people were trading the euro dollar, but it didn't get to our decision point. Excuse me. 116.75 area was our decision point on euro dollar, and we just didn't get there. We tried to get close to getting there, but euro dollar just kind of stayed choppy. So I didn't trade euro dollar at all. No trading euro dollar for me. Still watching that decision point. I think it's interesting. I'm still interested in kind of buying off though any lows with maybe some stops below that area. So we get any dips on euro dollar, I'll probably be buying it. But for the moment, it didn't really get to our area, so we didn't really have a good reason to get in and trade the heck out of it. So euro dollar, schmuro dollar. How about dollar yen? Who traded dollar yen? I'm going to hold you guys to this one. Anyone trade dollar yen? I'm going to need a yes, no, maybe. I'd love to hear somebody say, maybe I traded it. Who's asking? We get any maybe trades on the dollar yen? No trades for Mike. No trades on dollar yen. Tom? Jennifer? Dennis? Who traded dollar yen? D'Artagnan? Welcome, D'Artagnan. Who is D'Artagnan, by the way? Either way, we're happy to have you. Welcome. Dennis, you traded the dollar yen. Good. Was it a good dollar yen trading experience? Um, oh yeah, the pound yen. Mike did some pound yen trading. I've kind of just man, I just kind of stayed away from that darn pound yen. Yeah, just kind of stayed away. It's been a little bit of a tricky one. I haven't traded anything pound really at all, but here was good, Dennis. All right, I'm happy to hear it. Here was what we talked about, right? We had this little inverse head and shoulders pattern. I said 112. I want to short this thing to death below 112. I think there's an easy 100 pips below 112. Or we get a little inverse head and shoulders pattern, and this thing breaks above our neckline and gives us at least a chunk of pips, 50, 60, 70 pips, and more. Uh, that's okay, Mike. Yeah, stay away from the pound pairs for a day or two. So here is dollar yen. Here is dollar yen. So what did it do? There's our area. It was just literally a perfectly clean breakout. It pulled back, chopped around, broke out, pulled back, and just cruised right on through. So it broke out of this zone, 112.80 or so, with a high of 113.65. So about 85 pips of movement to the upside. So it was just an easy trade, easy pips. Hopefully you guys got some of that. It was a really nice little run there. So those were good pips. So I hope you guys got some of those. Every time I trade the yen recently, I get squished. Yeah, the yen is, this is why I only trade the yen. Again, not to sound like the Dos Equis guy, but I don't trade the yen very often. But when I do, it's got to be just such a great setup. It's got to be a great setup, and even with the best of the best setups, yen pairs can just be jerks. And so you got to be really careful with those yen pairs because they are difficult. They are difficult. You got to have just that right kind of setup, and it's not even like technically a perfect setup. It's got to be like a perfect yen setup because man, they are tough. They are tough. Yen pairs are not the easiest to trade. But this one worked out beautifully. So those were some nice pips there, and it gave us a nice little run. And that was really the only yen pair I was watching this week. New Zealand yen kind of hopping around, not going anywhere. Euro yen, just being ridiculous. So I stayed away from euro yen. We talked about this level here, and it just remember, we don't just put pending orders at these levels. We make sure that it can at least hit and hold, and this thing just blasted right through and kind of consolidated above the level and then broke back down below. And anyway, I'll watch this area right here, and if this kind of does some of this business, then I'll look for some trade activity down below. But there are definitely some nice areas to look for. We're going to be watching for sure. It's good that we have some little targets. We've got about 13300 that now looks pretty interesting on this pair, and we've got some other areas of interest here to kind of trade back to. So I like the euro yen, and I think it's going to be a good trade coming up if we can get a little bit of yen strength, which we've had some trouble seeing. So euro yen could be good next week, the week after. We'll see how that one behaves. Who wants to? I mean, I might do it anyway, but does anybody want to look at some cryptocurrencies for a minute? 5 minutes? 5 minutes of cryptocurrency activity? I am by no means an expert in the cryptos, but I am an expert on charts, and I can pick out some interesting things on pretty much any chart. You show me, new shoe sales chart, and I'll tell you how the next quarter is probably going to turn out. So there's some stuff in there. There's a little bit of stuff in there. Chris, welcome. And anybody just logging in, we've just gone through literally every single currency pair and everything we're watching and want to talk about, and so we're done there. But I want to look at some of these cryptos real quick for a second. Actually, we'll look at gold for one last second. I did say gold was heading higher. And I wanted to see it hit the weekly pivot, my important level, and this guy right here. And it's just shy of getting to that next important level of 1275. You can see we're at 1270 right now. So gold's been doing 100% exactly what we've been expecting. So hopefully, I know there's a lot of people trading gold and kind of watching those levels. So we'll see how the gold keeps playing out, but it's doing exactly what we expected. So gold behaving nicely. Bring on the goodness. All right. Okay, you guys want to? Okay, Frank wants to see a little bit of the crypto business. Dennis apprehensive, as everybody should be. By the way, everybody should be apprehensive about these cryptos right now, but they're behaving. They're behaving. Let's see. A friend was in today, and I think he's out. Did we lose Leif? Okay, Leif, adios. Yes, and they may stop behaving sooner than later. I am, my full disclaimer on the cryptos is that they're going to they're going to kind of be extra volatile for probably the foreseeable future. But here's the chart that I sent out. Everybody, and I made this in a video as well about a week ago, and everyone says, everything's going up and nothing will come down. And so what did I say? I said I need to see Bitcoin at 10.5 or 11,000 before it gets interesting to me. And then there's also some important levels all the way down here at in the $6,000, $7,000, and $8,000 range. But I thought I want to see 11,000, 10.5 to 11,000. And what did we have just moments ago? 10,000 and almost 400. So it hit exactly where I want to see this hit. So if anybody is, thinking about buying some Bitcoin, honestly, this probably isn't a bad spot. This probably isn't a bad spot at all. Put in, buy a little bit of Bitcoin right here. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Buy a little bit of Bitcoin right here. Don't be surprised to see the $8,000 range get tested. But these levels, all the levels that we watch, work surprisingly, amazingly well on cryptocurrencies, and not to mention pivot points. Pivot points work amazingly well on the cryptos. I'm blown away to see it. I've been watching it for weeks and weeks, and I just watch how these pivot points get hit over and over and over again. So anyway, it's something to keep an eye on. Bitcoin is doing exactly what I expected, and it's moving lower, and it is hello 11,000, 10,500 even. So we could see some, some lower levels. Don't be surprised to see a 9,000 in there. At this point, it's going to be kind of some flashy movements, I'm sure, some real quick spikes with some real quick turnarounds. But I'm going to be keeping my eye on 9,000. If 9,000 gets hit, um, I think any of these areas are going to be good areas to start scaling into some Bitcoin, buying some Bitcoin, picking up a little bit here and there. So once again, it's a completely 100% speculative move, but technically speaking, I think it's pretty clean. So that's Bitcoin, and it's kind of doing its thing. On the larger scale, of course, anything that just goes straight up. Keep in mind, guys, Bitcoin got all of its attention right about. Nobody was talking about Bitcoin in 2,500, 3,000, $3,500 range. Nobody was really talking about it when it was in the 4,000s and 4,500s in September, and then in October, this thing started to just take off and just take off, and it ran up, and then by this little low here in November, nobody, excuse me, and it started running up from there. Nobody could stop talking about it, and then it just ran up, from these lows of 55, 6,000, obviously up to 20,000. So that was crazy. Now here we are, all the way back down to nearly 10,000. Um, Hype ran it up, Mike. Yep, hype definitely ran it up. This whole limited, there's only so many Bitcoins, probably played a factor. Nobody even really understands what these digital currencies are, these cryptocurrencies. And so, people were just buying. They were just buying like crazy, having no idea what was going on. And not to mention, there was no way to do anything other than buy. You could buy it or you could sell it. You could dump your position, and that was it. And now there's futures. You can short Bitcoin. You can do a few more things, and so now there's a little bit more interest in all those directions. So, but I love that it hit that level, and I think Bitcoin's going to be a great opportunity to buy some dips. And exactly, my real value on any of these cryptos is to be determined. So, but great little level there. Litecoin, my area to buy on Litecoin was. Let's see if my charts will do anything here. Um, Again, weekly pivot. What did this thing do? Tap that weekly pivot beautifully. I was looking at this little area right here. Um, but on Litecoin, I would feel 200% fantastic about watching this consolidate, do whatever it does, but buying at this little area. Litecoin had a high of $419.75. And here it is at 191, and it tapped on this level around 145, 150. So I think this is a great area for purchasing some Litecoin or some heavy coin or whatever we got to do with it. But I like that area, and of course, as we know, some interesting levels. $100 would be a very good level as well. So I think buying at 150 and buying at 100 is totally great. I think those are really really good spots to buy into some Litecoin. 100 and 150. Ethereum, as you can see on my chart there, this is my buy zone, and it has been smashed to pieces. So that was kind of my area. Look for this area to buy. So here we've hit it. We've mashed right into it. Ethereum was up at 873, and now we saw a low of 458. So one thing that I mentioned in my videos was that the cryptocurrencies do have a very easy ability to gain or lose 50% of their value in a very short amount of time. We don't see that anywhere else other than cryptocurrencies and maybe marijuana stocks, which just have all this crazy volatility. So I'm never surprised on any kind of a cryptocurrency to see it lose 50% of its value. in in a day, in a few hours. It's very possible. So it's crazy trading. It's difficult stuff to kind of manage the risk. But if you're just buying, into some of these areas, and you're planning on kind of holding on to it, difficult to day trade, but there are some great day trading opportunities. But it's but these kinds of as they're calling it, the Black Friday for the cryptos. These kinds of levels are, I think, good ones to just buy in and hold on for the long haul. Not day trade, not short term trade. Just buy in and hold on to it and see where it goes, see what happens. So Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum looking super awesome. I think we've got a Ripple here. And where's Ripple headed? Probably to the weekly pivot at 62 cents, 61 cents, right around there. So I think Ripple's probably headed back down into that zone as well. So anyway, yes, yeah, exactly, Mike. Kind of like buying the pot stocks a few years ago, for sure, for sure. So, there's some interesting opportunities here. I definitely know that I have some friends and acquaintances that are needing to change their undergarments at this moment, as all of their investment is diving. Is they've lost 50% of of where they were, say, middle of this week. But if you're patient and if you haven't gotten in yet, I think there's some good opportunities to get in. Um, I'm sure. I don't know anybody that bought Bitcoin at the highs, but I do know some people that bought in some of those definitely higher areas. So as this bounces around those lows, I know some people that are in 15, 16. Um, but I also know a lot of people that are in at 4 and 5,000 and have just held on to it and done well. And so I mean, this is how highly speculative, highly volatile markets go. You got to take the good with the bad. And I I love that this is just a good reminder to everybody and to all of the cryptocurrency community and everything. What goes up absolutely has to come down. All markets do is go up and down, and 100% of 100%. I just can't say 100% enough of these markets go up and down. And Bitcoin had just kind of gone up, so it's coming down a little bit, and that's fine. And there's going to be some good opportunities to jump in. Cryptocurrencies aren't going anywhere. That's one thing I think everyone needs to get out of their head. This is not a fad. This is something that's here for the long haul. What the exact future of it will be is definitely a big question. But these are here to stay. But the movement and the trading of it is very, very speculative right now, and it's very volatile and it's very crazy. So to buy some big dips and hold on to it, I think is a fine idea. I mean, look at this madness. We had a low here of 460, and we're $100 off that almost. So, ugh. Anyway, um, that's right. That's right. High pucker factor. That's right. Watch the charts, trade what you see. All right, guys, that's a little crypto business for you. Along with our currency business, we got so many good things to watch and so many great things to keep an eye on. I can't wait. Thanks, everybody. Lovely to see you all. Have a wonderful, fantastic, excellent break. I will not be too terribly active or chiming in anywhere for any major reason over the next week or so, but we'll be back on Tuesday, not December anything, January 2nd. I will be very rested and excited to be back to talk to you guys. And of course, if anything exciting happens between now and then, I will let you all know. Yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Merry Christmas to you, Mike, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, good break to everybody. Have a very, very wonderful next week or so, and I'll see you guys back here just after the break. Merry ho ho ho. Yes, thank you guys. Yep, very, very happy holidays to everybody. Happy, happy, happy holidays. Have a good break and a nice run, and thank you guys for being on with us. It's wonderful to have you members, and I'm excited to have another great year with everybody. We've had some really great runs, and it's been a really, really good year of trading. And I think we're going to have an even better year of trading next year. So every year is a little bit better, and I like it. So that's really great. Thanks for being on with us, guys. So happy to have you all, and have a very, very happy holiday, everyone. See you guys. Take care. We'll catch you guys after the start of the year, January 2nd, Tuesday, January 2nd. Thanks, guys. Take care. See you all soon.